Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. My name is Joseph Sangle, and I am the host of this podcast, and we are episode number what?
115.
Yes, and that is the voice of my co-host, Megan Hibbard, and today is September 14th, 2020. And it's Monday, and we're in the middle of September. Can you believe it?
No.
And I kind of call March 15th the start of COVID-19, at least in my mind. That's when it started to really occupy my mind. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I think maybe a week earlier.
Right. I think
But
so, yeah.
this means we're officially at the 6-month mark since the novel coronavirus number 19 came out and changed our lives around the world. So we got some challenges in front of us. So today, I hope that everybody's doing well. Are you doing good on this Monday?
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah, it's Monday. Fall is in the air, particularly in the northern reaches of the United States and up in Canada.
There's like
We're
leaves
jealous.
starting
We're in South
to
Carolina,
fall a
it's
little bit.
just now starting to turn a little bit. And, one of the things I remember distinctly being a kid from the Midwest in Indiana, I remember the time that I moved to South Carolina and I was here. And it was over Thanksgiving, which for my Canadian friends, they all know that they celebrate it in October. We celebrate it the fourth Thursday in November. And we flew home to Chicago to surprise my bride's father for his 50th birthday. And I remember we flew home and we had really beautiful fall leaves. And we flew up there and there were 0 leaves on the trees, like totally gone.
snow.
And it was wintertime. And so it was one of those things that I looked at and said, wow, that's crazy. And so I would just say, for everybody, happy Monday to you. Enjoy fall where you're at. And we get to enjoy it a little longer down here
We do.
in South Carolina.
Thankfully.
Tell everybody what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So today we're talking about how your coffee is worth $1 million. So our question that kind of spawned this was somebody asked, how do I get $1 million?
It's a great question, isn't it?
Ultimately,
I love
just
this question.
flat out. How do I get it?
I like it. We get real here at the Monday Money Tip Podcast. Is Joe, chunk all this nonsense. How do I get $1 million? I like it. Isn't that a great question?
Yeah.
It's probably my kids emailed that one in. But we're going to help you get $1 million today. Isn't that awesome?
Yep.
Okay.
I won $1 million.
That's great. All right. So let's talk about the featured resource for this month.
Yes. So our featured resource for this month is the Savings Challenge. The chances are pretty high that you're wasting some money each and every month. You probably already know it, or maybe you don't. And you probably feel it. So let's take care of it this month. And the Savings Challenge will show you ways you can save money so you can better fund your dreams. So if you want to save money in your budget and put more money in your dreams pocket, sign up today. Just go to iwbnin.com/help. It's only $14 and it's a $20 savings challenge.
Yes.
It's going to help you out a lot.
20 days. And the average person saves around $1,000 annually in their budget by taking the savings challenge. So hopefully it'll help you be reminded of ways to save money and inform you of new ways to save money, help you in that budget. So we're now to that favorite part of the podcast. You know what it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by the Next Step section of I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. When you are looking to take your next step with money, start here. All of our favorite banks, investing companies, and money-saving ideas are all located right there. Just go to iwbnin.com and click on Next Steps.
Yes. And so for today's current money events section, I'm going to talk about the coronavirus impact on money. Did you like that?
I did.
Yeah, that was awesome. Congress recessed in August, so we didn't have to hear them anymore, which is good. They recessed in August without a deal to extend expanded unemployment benefits, a renewed paycheck protection program for small businesses, or any further assistance for schools, municipalities, and many others who have been severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. I wrote that. Isn't that pretty good? Sounds like newsworthy.
But that is not good.
This is in Joe Sangle's terminology. The two major parties were at odds over not only who to assist, but also over the amount of cash they were seeking to allocate. Now, let me tell you, we're not just talking about a little bit apart. We're talking about trillions trillions of dollars apart. It appears that Republicans were seeking to spend only a cool $1 trillion, while Democrats are looking for nearly $3 trillion. How are they getting that money? All of it with debt.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. Do you know how much money $1 trillion is, Megan?
I do.
Yeah.
It is $3,048 per person in the United States.
Wow. Did you just do that in your head?
I did.
Wow, that's amazing. I Googled it. So $1 trillion divided by the 328 million people living in the United States, men, women, and children, that is $3,048 per human being. Yikes.
Not even per
We've already
taxpayer.
spent about $3 trillion with the Families First and CARES Act.
Yeah.
That, to put it in perspective, is $9,144 per person in new debt, man, woman, and child. Now, as a nation, that means we have arrived at nearly 27 trillion in national debt. How much is that per person, Megan?
It's a lot. It is $82,317 per person.
That's $82,317 per debt. You're listening to the podcast, if you live in the U.S., that's your debt. That's your share. You're like, but that's, I don't, what are you talking about? Yeah, you pay it with your taxes.
Happy Monday.
Hey, you don't pay taxes? Somebody else has to cover your share. Isn't that amazing?
Something.
So, and you know, my son, he doesn't pay taxes. I have to pay his share. You take this times the number of people living in your house. I have 5 people living in my house. It's $411,585 for my house alone. At 3% interest, I have to pay $12,347 in interest per year just to maintain the debt where it is. That's no principal pay down. And we all know interest only doesn't work long term. So here's the single angle on the current money events section, and I'm fired up. I believe that Congress recessed without a deal because they are, both sides, Republican and Democrat, alarmed about the increased debt levels. Really alarmed. They see COVID-19 cases declining, and they see a vastly improving economy, which means reduced unemployment rolls, reduced first-time unemployment claims, and reduced unemployment rates. And they realized they could recess and get 4 weeks of additional data to understand whether or not this is going to continue as a good economic recovery. And I liken it to a toddler who's just learning to walk. Has your buddy boy, Logan, learned to walk yet?
Oh,
Totally,
yeah.
100%?
1,000%,
So when he first started walking, though, you kind of held his hands, or daddy was there to catch him, mommy was there to catch him, and you were very nervous. You're like, please don't hit the furniture. I do not need a bleeder.
I still have those moments, but yes.
So it causes panic. But I liken it to that toddler who's just learning to walk. The economy is that way. At some point in time, the toddler has to walk all by himself without any hand-holding. And I believe Congress has allowed this recess to take place without any further financial action so they can see whether or not this toddler economy is able to continue the recovery without any hand-holding and only recovering through private economic maneuvers without further economic stimulus through debt. And here's what I would tell each of our listeners. While they might still do some stimulation, and I believe they will, at this point in time, they are going to be picking winners and losers. And more than anything, I want each of our listeners to hear this. Financial margin, watch this on YouTube, y'all, it always wins. You never know when the economic recession or outright depression is going to impact you or when it's going to recover. And those who have margin are the ones who survive these dips and they thrive on the backside of them. So I'd tell each of you, yes, take some strategic investment opportunities, but continue to prioritize margin because it is this margin that will allow you to come out of the other side still focused on the mission that you have for your life. And so that's it for today's current money event section. Was that good?
Yeah. It was.
It was.
Fired up.
Yes.
Okay. Our success.
And they are meeting again right now. So hopefully they'll pass something this week.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's true. Might have an update before this even releases, which would be wild. All right, so our success story comes from Jane, and Jane says, when our 12-year-old washing machine died in June, it was such a blessing to not freak out over replacing it. The biggest issue when it went down was that it had laundry in it. That is a problem. And we were leaving to go camping with two more loads to do. Campground laundry facility for the win. Thank you, Joe, for your message nearly 14 years ago. Life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And, you know, I got to speak in a series. I know Jane. And I got to speak in a series at a church called Lord of the Rings, and it was about marriage. And it had an effect on their marriage, and it had an effect on their finances. It's been amazing to see how far they've went in 14 years. And it started with a moment of inspiration and a little bit of education, and then they took the reins and ran with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I just tell everybody who listens to podcasts or comes out to one of our live events or reads one of our resources, is our goal is to give you some inspiration, some education, and more than anything, some pep talks along the way so that you can keep doing what you know is right and real and best for your family so that you can win. And that these things that are annoying, washing machines dying right when you need it, right? You know what? It's just a problem that it's not a money problem too. Way to go, Jane. And thanks for sharing your update. I love it.
Okay. Our featured question for today is, how do I get $1 million? So blunt now, like just outright.
Okay. No, so short. So how do I get $1 million? Do you know that song?
Yes. If I had $1 million.
If I had $1 billion.
It's
What is it?
It's
How
$1
does it
million.
go?
If I had $1 million,
No.
I think we're singing different
Is
songs.
it Bruno Mars?
Oh, we're definitely singing
He
different
wants
songs.
$1 billion.
Yeah, if I had
I want to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Is it billionaire or millionaire? I don't know. You can tell how much I listen to that. Give me some country music, but better than that, give me some gospel music. Get fired up. So here's what I know. How do you get $1 million? Well, one response I've heard is this. There's 4 ways to be a millionaire. 1, be born into it. Were you born into it? Marry into it. Did you marry into it? You could win the lottery, or you could start a business. And so, if you're not born into it and you didn't get lucky and marry into it, and you didn't get real lucky and win the lottery, or hey, start a business. And for those who don't fit into any of those categories, my answer for you on how to get $1 million is to become an investor. I want to give you some tips on investing. Now, this is how you become a millionaire. You could go take out a metal detector in your yard and find a gold nugget. That'd be awesome. Worth $1 million. That'd be great. You could find the lost Confederate gold that was lost in South Carolina, allegedly in Anderson County where we live. It's one of the tales of Sleepy Hollow type things. It's really weird. Or you could start a business, or you could start a business of investing. And investing is nothing more than putting money into some sort of vehicle that you hope will return more money some later date. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so if you put $1 in a slot machine, man, you're really hoping if you think that's going to return something. But if you put $1 in a company stock, you put $1 into something you bought at a yard sale, and now you're selling it on eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, that is a type of investment. It's also taking money from your paycheck and putting it in a 401k into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and the like. And so let's give you some tips on this. Number 1 is to invest consistently over time. And so you got to do consistent investing. It is the key to, I'm going to use these words carefully. I want you to hear them carefully, to virtually guaranteeing that you achieve $1 million in net worth. It's a virtual guarantee. And so you can do payroll deductions for your retirement account. And so Megan's going to list all types of retirement accounts. See if you have one of these available to you. I bet you do.
I can't list them as fast as you can, but RSP, IRA, 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, Roth IRA, Simple IRA.
Yeah, or they can throw in another for Canada, TFSA. Okay, so RSP, retirement savings plan, TFSA, tax-free savings account, IRA, individual retirement arrangement, 401k, 403b, 457 are sections of the tax code referencing different types of retirement plans for-profit, nonprofit, and a different type of nonprofit. Thrift savings plan is the TSP. Roth IRA means just tax treatment named after the senator that put together that bill. And so the bottom line is payroll deductions into that retirement account consistently, which means every time you're paid, every time you receive income. Did I say sometimes?
No.
Or every time?
Every time.
Okay, correct me. Rewind and say, Every time you receive income. See, you heard me say it. I said every time. I just rewinded. Did you hear it? Only people who had tape recorders know what I just did. Everybody's like, what just happened to him? Is he okay? Megan, check his temperature. Okay? So, Megan, how did you learn? I think I want to have a conversation here.
Yeah.
How did you learn? Who did you learn from? About what age were you when you learned it? That it was important to contribute to a retirement account consistently?
Yeah. I would say probably started learning about it in high school, but really understood it in college. So I would say from my parents and my grandparents, because when my grandparents passed away, they were able to leave us some money, and they were only able to do that because they invested well.
So was that explained to you?
Yes.
Okay, that they invested this money.
Yeah.
And then, so when you say I learned some of it at home while I was in high school, was it your dad, your mom saying, hey, we invest in our 403b, 401k?
Yeah. So I worked for my mom in high school for a little bit. And with that, got the way that it worked out, it was a weird situation, but got money for a retirement account. And so it was like, we talked through that, worked through that about how this money is going to help. And me and my sister always knew that they were investing and they were putting money away, and it was a priority to invest for the future for us, but for them and, for future kids and that kind of stuff.
So let me ask you a question. Like when you heard that I invest, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So there's risk.
Yeah.
And we know from all the conversations we've had with people, and you've answered the email box and all that stuff for our team, that a lot of people have trouble accepting risk. So how did you feel about risk? Or was it, hey, I really trust my parents, I really trust my grandparents, so since they trust it, I'm just going to borrow some of that trust and just accept that risk?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a sticky situation because I am such a saver and I like to hold on to it and I don't want to lose it. But there's a greater benefit that could come from investing it instead of me just holding on to it, especially in savings. Just holding on to it in savings, it's not going to be able to multiply enough to be able to support us when we want to retire, or when we want, when we need these bigger dreams to happen, or when we want to fund this or fund that. And so you kind of have to be willing to take that step in and say, I know it's a risk. I could lose it all. And especially talking to people that lost it all before, I was just on the front end of that. And so it wasn't like I lost all of my savings, all my investing.
8,
Yeah.
9?
Yeah. So 2008.
Okay, so that financial collapse.
Yeah. And so it wasn't like, I graduated college in 2010. And so it wasn't like I was in the workforce and lost a bunch of money in that, but talking to people that did, it definitely makes you a little bit more cautious. And I think for me, it makes me want to learn more and know things before I take that step, but still taking the step, but just making sure I'm well informed as an investor.
So I want to kind of dive into this for our listeners. Megan is saying the word saving. I like saving, and we're talking about investing. Yeah. And you mentioned that saving, it's not really going to do much. Investing is where that happens. It's going to grow. And I just want to explain again how important it is that you hear what we're saying. Like you literally hear the terminology because we're using it very specifically. Saving is for safekeeping. That could be in a bank savings account, earning very little interest these days. It could be in a mattress. It could be in a jar in the yard. It's bank account, safe deposit box, things like that. That's saving. It's there for safekeeping. The goal is not growth. It's there for protection, financial margin.
Right.
Investing is when you take risk, you accept some level of risk in hopes of it growing. So I always liken it to a farming analogy. When you save money, it's like the farmer having the grain in the storage silo. He doesn't want it to sprout. It's not there to grow. It's for safekeeping. And then when the farmer actually puts seed in the ground, that's when risk has been taken. But the goal is for that seed to reproduce and create hundreds, if not thousands of seeds like it. And that is what we're talking about today, about investing and taking that risk and doing it consistently over time. And one of the greatest ways to do that is out of your paycheck. Just set it and forget it. Yeah. If you never see the money coming home, you won't ever feel the pain of it. The second thing that you can do is reduce and eliminate expenses and to redirect those to investments. So reduce and or eliminate expenses and redirect that money to to investments. So this is where we say your coffee could be worth $1 million. Now, anybody knows Joe Sango knows I love coffee. If you look on almost every episode on the podcast in YouTube, I've got a Yeti sitting here with coffee.
I know. I'm shocked that you don't have one now.
Got the cup here. It's a Starbucks that says "Get Fired Up" on it. That a member of our team had made on Etsy. I love it with their cricket. Get fired up. And I love coffee. Everyone in my office knows it. Anyone who's been part of my financial coaching training sessions knows that I will summarily stop the training when my cup ends and I need more.
Yes.
And these days, of course, it's a lot of decaf coffee, but it is still delicious. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And a witness. So many people purchase coffee every day. Keyword being purchase. Every single day. Now, if you go to my local Starbucks, which is the best coffee on the planet, it is not America Runs on Dunkin'. It is okay. It is not McDonald's and not Hardee's. It is not any of these other coffee joints. It is Starbucks.
I do love Starbucks.
So, and it costs about $2.12 around our area. It costs more if you're at an airport or an expensive area.
That's for just a coffee, though.
Just the coffee.
Yes.
Many people purchase what I call a foofy drink, a caramel macchiato. And they have all these terminologies that I don't even understand about half calf, slim, slime. I'm not even going to make it up because I don't even know. Every single day they buy one, $4.55. Now, let's just say a person purchases a coffee every weekday for $2.12, and there's an average of 22 work days a month. That means they spend $46.64 per month on coffee. If you invested that after 10 years, at the average rate of the market, it'd be $10,812. You do after 20 years, that's $46,000. After 30 years, $164,000. After 40 years, to $500,000. And it's at 45 years that you reach that magical moment where it's $1,008,371. After 50 years, it's nearly $2 million. So what am I saying? Am I saying don't drink coffee? Far be it for me. I say buy Starbucks K-Cups and use them 3 or 4 times in a row, which makes Megan... She doesn't like that.
I don't.
Everybody in my office thinks something is weird. I'm okay with it if I can see through the cup and it looks like a light tea. For real. It lowers the cost per K-cup to pennies. Now, I am not saying don't have coffee. But what I am saying is this. If you can't seem to find any money to invest, hey, conduct an inventory of your daily habits. Do you have a daily or near daily habit costing you money that could be modified or eliminated and redirected towards an investment? Megan, share some monthly subscriptions that all of your friends seem to have.
Yes, and yours.
Some of my friends.
Okay. Monthly subscriptions include Hulu, Netflix, Spotify, Peacock.
Stop. Hey, listener, I'm talking to you. Do check marks. Everyone, and she's saying, how many of these do you have and pay for? Start again.
Yes. Hulu.
Check mark.
Netflix.
Check mark.
Spotify.
Check mark.
Peacock.
Check mark.
Disney Plus.
Check mark.
Candy Crush.
Check mark.
Is this you doing?
No, I'm just saying. I'm helping our listeners here.
Candy Crush?
No. I have Netflix. My daughter has Spotify. Yeah. I do have Disney Plus. They gave it to me for free because I was a Verizon member. And let's put another. So do you have those?
Yep.
Coffee every day. We mentioned that. Here's another one that we see. We see this in our office.
We see this a lot.
Purchasing lunch every day.
I can't believe
It's amazing how much people spend on lunch. $8 is not unusual at Chipotle.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A? So $8 times 22 work days, that's $176 a month. And I know you get points on the app and all that stuff, but it only takes 34 years exactly to achieve $1 million if you invested that money instead. What am I saying? Don't have some Peacock and Disney Plus? Don't have coffee? Don't eat lunch at a restaurant? I'm not. But I'm saying, hey, if you're doing that and not investing, I'm going to say it, shame on you. Shame on you. You want to be a millionaire? Do you really want to be a millionaire? Hey, brown bag it. Bring your lunch to work. Let me tell you what I've had for lunch this week. Already this week as we record this podcast. It's not a Monday that I'm recording the podcast.
It's true.
And so we had deer steak that I harvested out of the field. And that deer did not cost me but like 68 cents a pound to have processed. It's awesome. I had deer steak. It's delicious. It's so lean. It's organic. It's antibiotic free. It's unbelievable. I cooked extra. And so I had it on day one. I had it on day 2, and I made deer steak patty melts out of it yesterday. Unbelievable. And so I brown bagged it. I have not bought a lunch at a restaurant this week. That's not going to happen. I might go one day a week, maybe. But let me tell you, I am investing.
Yeah.
And so I would say it's okay to do that, but don't do it at the expense of being able to invest. I want you to be able to invest. We know that $100 a month equals $1,176,477 after 40 years. Just $100 a month. And so you must consistently invest over time. If you do not, then you will not be a millionaire. We're trying to help you get $1 million. And when you reduce and eliminate expenses and redirect them to your investments, hey, at least you're giving yourself a reason for why you're carrying that brown bag lunch to work on that day while your friends are going out and spending all their money and remaining their broke selves. I know that seems pretty harsh, but most of them, let's be honest, they ain't got $1 in the market. Okay? And the third thing that we want to encourage them with is what?
Yep. So the third thing is refrain from unplanned withdrawals.
Yes. You know, the R in IRA stands for what? Retirement. Yes. I love it. I love surprising questions. The R in IRA stands for what? And you should see it on YouTube. She's like, are you going to say it or am I supposed to say it? It's awesome.
I didn't know.
It's like not scheduled. It's retirement. The R stands for retirement. Retirement. You're going to be tired one day. You're going to be tired of working and you want to retire. And so should you use the money to pay for a kitchen remodel?
Remodel is in the R?
Yeah. Is it an individual remodel arrangement? That's funny. I like that. So, no, it's retirement. And one of the things I see happen consistently is people take a loan out of the retirement account and they use it for non-retirement stuff.
Yeah.
They use it for vacation. They use it. And look, I want them to have all that stuff. But look, you've got to refrain from unplanned withdrawals. The only exception is if you're actually taking that money out of your retirement plan to invest in something else that you don't have access to in your RSP. I had a brother borrow money out of his retirement account to invest in a business. It worked out great for him. I had another brother borrow from it to do a real estate transaction for an investment. It worked out for him. And so I have lots of people who've taken money and repurposed the IRA money for other types of investments that may not have been traditionally available in that. That's okay. But what I'm saying is you got to refrain from unplanned withdrawals that are not related to retirement or investing. Because if you do that, you literally cost yourself sometimes years, if not decades, from the time that you'll be a millionaire. And it's not about being a millionaire so much as is about making sure that you have an ideal retirement where you're not solely reliant upon Social Security to fund your lifestyle when you get there. Any other thoughts you wanted to share?
It's just a lot of information. No, I think looking back at these three things, so we'll just sum them up again. So number one, I'm trying to flip through my pages again. Okay, so number one, invest consistently over time. Number two, reduce and eliminate expenses and redirect to investments. And number three, refrain from unplanned withdrawals. So I feel like you could look at those three things and say, which one do you need to work on? So maybe you are investing consistently, but maybe you need to reduce and eliminate some expenses and redirect those. Or maybe you're like, no, I got those two, but I keep doing, yeah. And so maybe you need to look through these and give yourself an honest, check of which one you're doing. How can that change? How can that help you move forward and be able to be that millionaire? And it's not that we want you to be a millionaire so you can say, I'm a millionaire, but we believe that you could be able to fund all of these dreams or do all of these things or accomplish more ministry with that or have, be able to have the house so that you can have your community group over or have the boat so that you can do, build relationships with that way and help people that are lost come to know Jesus. Like there's so many different opportunities that are available, and this could be a way that could help you get to that. So it's not just, I want to be a millionaire so I can be a millionaire, but you need to make sure that you know what the why is for you and your family.
And if you don't know that clearly, buy 2020 money and pick it up at iwbnin.com/2020. It'll help you identify that vision for your life. Today's quote is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 11. It says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money, listen to these words, little by little makes it grow. I love this verse because it's inspiring. We can all gather money little by little. And when you do that, it allows it to grow rapidly. But he who gathers nothing, I like to add, they're not going to see any growth. And so this next episode that's going to come around next Monday, 7 days from today, is going to be focused on 2 ways to produce income. There's the way to produce income by working, and we're going to show you how to produce income by not working. And that's going to be really important. It's ideal to have both, and eventually you have yourself in a position where you can produce it without having to work for it. And we're going to talk about that in detail next Monday. It's going to be a great informative episode where we're actually going to give you some practical tips on how to move towards producing income without working for it.
Yeah.
Hey, so tell everybody how they can get this podcast to others.
So if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit. You could do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving a review, and these ratings and review will help make our podcast better for other listeners. And if you've implemented one of our tips, make sure to share your success story with us. You can email it to info@iwbnin.com.
And so as we close out this Your Coffee is Worth $1 Million episode, hey, take one step today. One step. Do you need to go to HR, increase your contribution to 401k, or actually begin it? Do you need to go through that budget and eliminate a monthly subscription and redirect that money? Or do you need to have a conversation about making sure that your budget is saving for those things that you know you want to do in the future, like a kitchen remodel, so you don't keep tapping the retirement account for those things? And so we hope you have a great week. Happy Monday to you all, and go win with money and live a fully funded life. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.